right. Welcome to Module 12 for WT72. Upon completion of this module, you'll be able to prepare shielded metal arc welding equipment for open root V-groove welds and perform open root V-groove welds in the following positions: flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead. Performance tasks will be to do those things: set up the equipment, perform the welds. All right. If the weld coupons should be 3/8 thick carbon steel, or if possible, the weld coupons should be 3/8 thick carbon steel. If this size is not readily available, 1/4 to 3/4 inch steel can be used for practice welds. Open root welds generally have a bevel angle of 30 degrees. Okay, what we're trying to do here when we do these open root welds that do not have backing is mimic pipe welding. So it's kind of a stepped process where from your experience welding plate, now we set up a joint in our plates that matches the pipe, and you practice with that. And then once you're competent, then we'll have you start welding on pipe. And now you understand how these plates need to go together, and you're just trying to progress through and do the same thing except on pipe. So now you have the transitions to deal with, but it's kind of a stepping process to get to be able to weld pipe. Okay, the weld codes allow the root face and root opening on open root welds to be 0 to 1/8 inch. Adjust the root face and root opening as needed when you start your welding practices. Your root opening and your root face should actually match. I prefer 3/32 for the root face and root opening. I've had students kind of anywhere from about 1/16 of an inch to the full 1/8 that do really well with it. Even some of them that are thinner than 1/16. I mean, even down to a 32nd. Very small root opening, very small root face. They seem to do well with it. It becomes personal preference. What I recommend is on your early practices, I'll show you how to set up kind of a large root practice. And I recommend setting up a few different size openings to see what you're comfortable with. For either 60-10 or 70-18 electrodes, observe the following. When running stringer beads, use a slight side-to-side motion and a pause at the weld toe to tie in and flatten the bead. When running weave beads, use a slight pause at the weld toes to tie into the base metal. And set the amperage to the lower portion of the suggested range for better puddle control when welding vertically. Okay, you guys should have some experience with that by now. Understanding we run our vertical slightly cooler than our flat, horizontal, and overhead. Some of this is just a review of our last module. But here we go. This is a look at how the setup will go. 30 to a 37 degree bevel. We're going to stick with 30 because that's going to match what we're going to do with our pipe. And then a root face of 0 to 1/8. Couple things to keep in mind as you're prepping these. You want to use a file as well as a grinder to remove any burr that can occur from the grinder when you're prepping the root face. Okay, now when the plates are put together, you're going to have the gap between the plates. You're actually going to have to tack in the root. And at first, you're just going to tack that and run practice root passes. As you get a little bit of experience with those going well, then you'll start prepping the tacks so you can work on your tie-in to the tacks as well. All right, the most difficult part of the open root V-groove weld is the root pass. The root pass is made from the open V-groove side of the joint and must have complete joint penetration, but not excessive amount of root reinforcement. So the root reinforcement should be flush to 1/8 of an inch. So kind of just like your reinforcement at the face of the weld. All right, in the 1 and 2G positions, the weld axis can be inclined up to 15 degrees. Again, just like with the V-groove with backer. All right, groove welds should be made with slight reinforcement and a gradual transition to the base metal at each toe. Cooling with water is only done on practice coupons, never cool test coupons or on-the-job welds with water. Cooling with water can cause weld cracks and affect the mechanical properties of the base metal. So this goes for actually the backered and the open V-groove. Never cool them in water. Okay, when using weave beads, keep the electrode angle 90 degrees to the plate surface, so a 0 degree work angle with a 10 to 15 degree drag travel angle. Horizontal welds can be made on a vertically positioned flat surface or on a horizontally open V-groove weld, root V-groove. The electrode angle should be a 10 to 15 degree drag angle and perpendicular to the plate to control weld puddle. The electrode can be dropped slightly, but no more than 10 degrees. All right, these are some of the visuals we've seen. Okay, here we go. Electrode travel, this is for vertical. The electrode travel should be upward with a 0 to 10 degree push angle and perpendicular to the plate. 0 degree work angle for the first pass. The width of the weave beads should be no more than 5 times the electrode diameter. So when we're using our 1/8 inch electrode, we should not have a weave greater than 5/8, 3/32. Shouldn't be more than 15/32, which is just under 1/2 inch. Pause slightly at each toe to penetrate and fill the crater and prevent undercut. A few of these are kind of redundant, guys. My apologies. Okay, well, I think that's it for this one. Okay, real quick, these are in the back of the chapter, but these are just the performance tasks, giving you a little more detail on what's to be done. In WT72, our main focus is going to be on the backered plates. If you do get a chance to start on the V-groove, that's good. It just gets you a little more practice for when we start pipe welding. All right, guys, thank you. Remember to complete the quiz and the discussion prior to the module exam.